Hi beautiful people, you are super welcome to this channel. This is Locks and Chronicles. My name is Opsy and this is
Okay.
Mr. O, my darling husband. So you're super welcome. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome. And if you're returning, you are the real what? The real MVPs. Thank you. So today's video mainly relating to parents. Yes, parents of children in school age. Even if your children are young or if your child is young, I think it's still really a good story for you to listen to or a good video for you to watch. We are going to be talking about how we were able to get we've got two children, two beautiful children, a girl and a boy, and one is in a grammar school, grammar slash, what do you call it?
It's a bilateral school, but it has a
Grammar side. Yeah, but he did go into the grammar side, and how we got the other one into, they both went into into the grammar school at first, and then one went into a private school afterwards. So this is going to be today's story. It's just going to be a chat about how we were able to achieve that. But let me tell you what normally happens on this channel. I'm a social worker. I talk social work. I'm a migrant. We are migrants originally from Nigeria, now living in the UK. So I just generally take you through my chronicles as an immigrant in the UK, originally from Nigeria. I like to showcase my locks. I don't do much for them, but I love them very much. And yes, and I bring my family when they are willing to come along on this journey. They don't come very often anymore, but I'm so grateful that I have my husband here today, and I think he's the one in charge of today's story. So nobody asked me. You did not ask me, but let me just give you a background. My husband is very brainy, even though I'm saying it to his face. He's very clever.
Yeah, very clever too. We are both clever.
Thank
You are
you.
even more clever.
No, okay, stop lying. If you've been following me, you know that I've been saying it. I do not have a science head, and I do not have a mathematics head. Yes, I have a head for more of the humanities and, you know, literature and, you know, social sciences and things like that. But my husband has a head for that, plus sciences, plus maths and everything like that as well. So you see, is on fire. So that's just to give you a background of who this man sitting beside me is. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button now. Yes, thank you. Now like this video because it's really going to be juicy. Thank you. Now remember to leave a comment and to share this video so that other people can see it, you know. And before this video, we did a video about the power of storytelling and how once when I was sacked at my job, storytelling helped me to get my job back. So if you've not watched that video, make sure that you watch it, or if this is the one coming first, make sure that you watch both videos. So I apologize in advance if this is a long video, but there's no point rushing it. If you need to watch it, then you need to watch it. If you don't need it, then you don't need it. So this video is basically how we got our children into top schools. So another story background before I hand over to my husband. I was the one mostly with the children then because I was mostly responsible for, you know, school runs and taking them to school and attending parents, blah, 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 blah. And I'll be honest with you, and I didn't care much about their academics in depth. I didn't really care much. And I don't know if you have children in schools here. What they will always tell you is they're doing well, they're doing good, English is good, maths is good, everything is good, they are top students, they behave well, and this and that. And that was what they always told me, and I always accepted it. But my husband became more at home, I think towards our first child. She was in year 4 when you started being more at home here in the UK. And he sat down with her or with both of them and he told me, like, these children, they don't know anything. And I was like, it's a lie. They are the best in their classes. They are the top students. And my husband became more he was trying to get me interested in what secondary schools that they were going to go to. I mean, I just wasn't bothered. I was like, anywhere close to the house. And my husband was like, no, they can't just go to any house school. They have to go to top schools. And they don't look ready. I think you did an assessment of them and you said that you did not think that they were ready. So now I'm going to ask you, how did you know that they were not ready? Because at that time, did you know what the curriculum was for them to get into grammar schools?
Well, I also asked around, and then I did some research and looked at the type of exams that they will need to write to get into grammar school. So what I did was like a diagnostic test,
Right.
to see where the knowledge level was at that time, and then it wasn't good. So after the diagnostic test, I realized that our child wasn't at the level that they were meant to be at. So after the diagnostic test, we went and got materials, books, and then started preparing them to be ready for that exam into top schools.
Yeah.
And by top schools, we actually mean grammar schools.
Yeah.
11 plus exams. So we got different books, CGP books, bond books. We just started, and they didn't like it.
I was going to talk about that, the resistance. Yeah.
They didn't like this daddy that just started bombarding them with things. And it was more interesting because for the exam, there is one particular subject that they don't even teach them in school. That is non-verbal reasoning. For the 11 plus exam, you write English, which also has a part called verbal reasoning, and then mathematics, and then that non-verbal reasoning, which is about looking out for patterns, symbols, and what have you, to make decisions, which they don't teach them in primary. So it was kind of strange to them, and they didn't really like it, and they didn't really like me for it. We fell out a lot, and then, but at the end of the day, it yielded results. And
before you get to the part where you yielded results and everything, let me just talk more, because you're a dad, I'm a mom, and our roles differ. And especially because you were the one who took on that teacher role. And my role, I think, more was to kind of mediate between the children and dad, where dad will expect them to take their books, let us study. I think the first thing you did for the first child, I think at first you enrolled her in a lesson, and you used to take her every Saturday morning. And it's got too much for her, and she used to complain that she had to get up very early. And I know it's not like you were even driving. Both of you would get on the bus and you would take her to this lesson, where she would barely even engage, and you had to do so much of the teaching at home. And you I think you told her that this was more than a weekend study, that it had to happen every day. Basically. And I think if there's one thing that you would have done differently, I don't know, I think it would have been that to have started earlier. Do you want to talk about that?
To prepare a child for 11 plus exam, I think it's not the best when you start them in year 4. I think because what they will be doing in the exam is kind of different from what they learn in school. So I think it makes a lot of sense to introduce it to them gradually, so that they get used to those sort of questions and timing, and because the timed exam, and as they're growing up, so that it won't be strange to them, especially when you load it upon them. It's better to introduce them to it gradually, and so that they start getting used to it as they grow up, so that it becomes part and parcel of them. so that it's not like dumped on them all of a sudden. That's when it becomes overwhelming, and they sometimes they find it difficult to cope.
Yeah.
So I think year 3 in primary school is the best time to introduce those things to your children, so that they start getting familiar with the concepts as they grow up. But if your child has been attending Kumon, I think it's also a very good launch pad for them, preparatory ground. If a child, because from experience, we see that a child that has attended Kumon has better, receives the training for 11 plus better than a child that has not been to Kumon. So that will also help.
Yeah, or to any lesson.
Or to any lesson at all.
Additional, lesson. Yes, yeah, that's a good point. So start early. So I was talking about some of the things that is hard. It was hard for the children. It was like being introduced to them, like all of a sudden. But the good thing that you then did, Kay, was when you started very like it was like a fire brigade approach with Oyin Consola. But then with the younger one, I think you started to now do this. You started to introduce it to him from his own year 3.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you started with Oyin, I think you will do like every day with Oyin, but you were still doing like every other day with Damola. Not every day, not so serious, but you started to introduce him to it. Now my role was, people were fighting me. My husband was fighting me that I was like covering for the children, that when he will call them, come and study, and they will say, oh no, not now, not anymore. They will have excuses, that I will sort of absorb them.
Yeah, you can't also make excuses for them.
And the children were fighting me.
It won't be too much.
Yeah. And the children were also fighting me that that I was siding with their dad, and that when their dad would call them, that I would not, listen to them, and I would take sides. Guys, it was a lot. Let me tell you what I did, especially with our first. I then introduced reward money. Like I said, okay, if you would study every day for this number of hours, how many hours were you doing every day?
I think we're doing like 2 hours.
2 hours daily. If you would do this 2 hours daily, at the end of the week, I would give you £10. I was not working. I was in uni then because I was studying social work. I had no money. I was broke. And I said, I will give you £10. So that made them kind of like, ooh, yes. I think it got only more interested.
A bit more.
Yeah, knowing that if she sat down and she participated and she engaged, that she would get money, she became very rich. But then I got very broke, and I could not carry on with the with the time.
£10 a week.
I was so broke, and so I renegotiated to £5 a week, and the level of motivation dropped a bit, but she still liked the £5. I think by the time we got to Damola's turn, I think it was like £2.
And he will always complain about it till tomorrow.
You gotta do what you gotta do. So I introduced reward. In hindsight, I should have planned like the reward that I could sustain all through the period, but hindsight is always a good thing. But that got them at least interested in sitting down and engaging with what Daddy was going to teach them. Another question I want to ask you, okay, is, can you tell us all the things that you did? I know that for you, it seems easy, but can you break it down to the things that you had to do with them? I know that you had to join some forums. I know that you had to do some mocks, and I know that after them that you have now been helping other children to achieve this. But can you break it down for parents who want to know, can they do this on their own, or is it better to just enroll your child in a place where they can be taught or given that additional support? So what are the things exactly that you did and that you had to put in place to support them?
Like you rightly mentioned, I joined a lot of forums I even joined one forum called Net Moms. I'm a dad, but I joined Net Moms, 11 Plus Forum. There are so many of them online that you can join, so you get like insights from tutors and parents. It's a community where tutors and parents come together, share experiences for different regions. There were two exam providers. There was GL, and there was another one I can't remember. CM, I think, yeah. So those ones are for the different regions. Our region was initially CEM, then it later changed to GL. So we had to change the books because the exams they are slightly different, but even though it's the same core content. So I joined forums. I bought like different providers books, like I mentioned earlier on. I bought bond books. I bought CGP books. Both of them, both books publishers were very good. They addressed the subject. And then, like you asked, whether it's better to go for tutoring or to handle your kids yourself. It depends on you. I would say
I couldn't have done it.
If you're a parent that has the time and that has the flair, of course you can actually help your children, and if they will be able to differentiate between you as a mom or a dad to being their teacher, then you will be able to do, because part of the problem we have was my kids, they were seeing me as their dad and not their teacher initially, and the switch from that to teacher was not seamless, because I had to be a teacher, I had to be stern, I had to make them do the homework, I had to make them do all the things that we have studied. Yeah, so discipline. Meanwhile, they were not used to seeing me like that. They were used to seeing me the dad that liked them, that pats them on the head and all that. So if you know that will not be a conflict, of course you can help your children. Otherwise, if you know that you do not have the time and you can't manage the conflict of switching from being a parent, being a dad or mom to a teacher, I think it's better you enroll them at a tutoring center or with a tutor, and then you can still support them. They will go for the tutoring, and then you still support them on their own. At least it will not be like hard from both ends. When they get the hard one from the tutor, they can get the soft one from you.
I think you always say that parents' participation, or shall we say parent or guardian or carer participation, is greatly needed, because if someone is coming for 2-hour session or maximum 4-hour session a week, and then you were giving your children like how many hours a week, like 14 hours, maybe even more sometimes, you couldn't really compare. But I think it's still, what you're saying is, if you can get them into having additional support from a tutor, then that will be helpful, and then you also support. Okay.
And also when the exam, there are different milestones that you measure when you're taking them through the process, so that they can do like maybe 3 or 4 mocks to see where they are, to see the areas where they need to improve on, work more.
Did our children do up to 3 or 4 mocks?
Yes, they did. They did like 3 mocks, I think. Yeah, so there are centers that organize. What they just do is organize mocks, and the mock will be like the exam, under exam condition. They will, because you can actually do the mock for them at home yourself if you are the one, but it won't be like, they won't see other children. It won't be like what it will be like on the day of the exam. But if you go to all these organized mocks, you pay for it. I think then it was about £50 for one mock. Yeah, so, and they do discounts. I'm not advertising for them. I'm just explaining to you. Yeah.
And this is not a sponsored video.
Yeah, it's not a sponsored video. So you can take them for as many mocks as you think you deem fit. That way they will give you feedback from on their performances, and you can see areas, topics they need to improve on, and then you work on those ones, go for another mock. By the time they do like 3 marks, I think they should be okay if everything is going on well, such that they can go in and then smash the exam.
Yes. We're not ones to blow our trumpets, but I think we should be doing it more. I think we should be celebrating ourselves and celebrating our children more. I don't know, are you like that? Do you feel kind of, although if you're following me on like my Facebook, or like my social media, you would have, kind of seen me talking about my children's exploits and successes. But I think we need to do more of it. So talking about smashing, both of them did smash, like they did smash their 11 plus. Their marks were exceptional.
Far above the
Yeah,
automatic qualifying score
scores, yes,
of the
yes,
school,
of the
yeah.
schools, yes, both of them. And I think the reason we chose the bilateral school that you talk about, because in our city there is no grammar school, so they have to travel to another
nearby
town to attend school, and that was a decision that was tough, but I think that was, you were pushing for that, and I sort of see why, and I'll talk about that in a bit, as migrants, from a migrant's perspective. But just to bring my thoughts back to celebrating how well the children did. They did so well. Both of them smashed their exams. I think our first did exceptional, and by the time Damola was going to do his, it was also amazingly exceptional. So these children deserve to be celebrated.
Accolades, yeah.
Yes, and I'm just taking this opportunity to say that, and I think it was also a time of discovery for you, because I know that you came to me one day and you said, wow, I just realized how brilliant our children are. They are very hot. Like you said, before I give it to them now, they are taking it. It was a moment of discovery, and I think joy as well for you that you did that you got them to that level where you were very happy with yourself. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, but after taking them through the process, there came a time that they now, they were already innate. They enjoy it, such that if I ask them one question, they give me like 4 different scenarios themselves without even prompting them. So at that point was like an epiphany, like, oh, so these kids have this in them that I didn't know about. So
you brought that out.
It was good to see.
You brought that out of them. Yes, and they themselves, I think the realization that they were actually better than all the people in their classes, because even though they were still in primary school, they saw how much they knew, because the 11 plus, you actually write it in at the end of year 5. So by the time they go to going to year 6, by the time they go into year 6 and they were doing year 6, I think they'd already covered what the teacher might be teaching them, and they were miles and miles ahead. And I think that gave you a lot of joy. It gave me a sort of quiet joy and pride as well. So talking about their exams, they smashed it. And I want to talk quickly about, I won't go into it in depth, but also to talk about access arrangements.
Okay.
Because we do have one of our children that was under the Senko in primary school, still under Senko now. So the fact that your child has some special needs, I'm not saying all, I cannot generalize, some special needs does not mean that they still cannot reach for heights that people without those special needs might get to. I think what's important to know that you just need to understand what support they need to be able to achieve their best, and to be able to advocate for them to put that in place. And I think, yes, this video is going to be long, but I think it's very important because you did a lot on that as well, before the exam and after the exam. Is this something that you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's okay to talk about it. That's others can learn. So one of our kids has a special need, and we feel that so that they will not be disadvantaged unwittingly because of the special need. We need to take like proactive steps,
Yeah.
and that was exactly what we did. We got the Senko to give us the documents, and together with all the health documents, we sent it to the body conducting the exams so that they can have a reasonable adjustment, so that they will not be disadvantaged because of their special needs. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we did. They got reasonable adjustment, and they were able to write the exam in a quiet place, and they were able to get extra time?
A bit of extra
A
time.
bit of extra time to complete the exams, and it all worked well.
Yes.
They did very well.
Yes. And just to mention, in the school that they went to, I think they were also going to be disadvantaged in a way, because the school was saying that they could have been in the school anyway, and they were not going to give them a grammar place. And you also did something about that.
Okay, yeah, that was appeal. So we had to go through an appeal system to appeal for a grammar place. They passed the exam very well. They smashed the cutoff mark for the school was maybe 210. They scored way above 240. So, but I think the problem was the school's name was not on the local authorities exam portal for application, and because of that they were saying that we didn't choose the grammar place. Well, the grammar place was not on the local authorities portal, and we wrote to them. We wrote to the local authority to let them know that we couldn't choose the grammar place because it wasn't there. And the local authority wrote back to us and said it's all right, they will note our child down for the grammar place. But lo and behold, by the time they're giving out the admission, they said our child would not get a grammar place because we didn't choose a grammar place. And that's why we went on appeal.
Yeah.
I represented my child and I went to them with different points of law and all that, and then with evidence that the problem was not our problem, the problem was their problem. And we won on the appeal, and they were able to give our child
a grammar
place.
That was amazing, and you can see why I love my husband so much, because he's not going to just let something just slide if it's something that we deserve or that the children deserve. And that was I think that was an exploit, and it's very commendable. And as I said, we're going to just be more intentional about celebrating our wins. I don't know, shall we talk about the private school, or shall we make that another video? We'll make it another video. So because this video is already too long. So if you want to hear about how we got one of our children into a private school on scholarship. Yes?
Scholarship, yeah.
Yes. Because we are not that we're not that but we have a child that actually goes to one of the top schools in England. Yes, it's amazing. So if you want to hear about that, just follow, and we'll do another video and we will talk about this. Child will not come on to social media. She won't, but we will talk about it and how again they got into a private school on scholarship. If you've watched to this point, thank you. I know that it must have been of interest to you, and I hope that you are charged up. And what I wanted to talk about as migrants quickly before this video finishes is that it is harder for us. It is harder for us because of, yes, where we come from, the opportunities open to us, the privileges that are not afforded to us automatically, that we have to do so much to get into. you know, the way we talk, the way we sound, our backgrounds, and everything. So we just want it to be easier for our children. And if you can get your children into places that you didn't have the opportunity to get into, and you know that getting into those opportunities will help your children have a softer life, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? And I think the times that I have slacked, that's always your charge to me. Like, Opayemi, we want a better future for our children. We want our children to sit with kings, you know, to sit with, you know, the powers that be. We want them to be the powers that be. And why not? And we don't want them to go through, in fact, any fraction of what we have been through. And we are still going through it, because the journey is not over. We're still going through it. Even as I speak to you, there are still things that we are still trying to reach, to touch, that, you know, we are still even struggling with, but we keep on going. So these are the reasons, and this is always the motivation, and this is always your charge for why you put in this extra time. And even now, I'm thankful, because there are days where you could be working or making money, but that you still leave it for the children, to teach them, and you continue to offer this service also to other people, and to help other people to get into this top schools, you know. So this is a very important discussion, and I'm very grateful to you for coming on to talk about it. Is there anything that we've missed that you want to add to the video?
No.
Okay, so yes, if you've watched to this point, remember to subscribe if you haven't. What are you waiting for? Subscribe, like, leave a comment. Do you have children in grammar school or in private schools? What was your experience? Do you wish that this happens to you, or do you wish that it happened to you? Are you going to be doing something differently? Has this video been impactful? Do you want more of this? Are you going to be here for our private school talk? Yeah, let me know in the comments, and if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, you want my husband to talk about, all right, leave in the comments, and we will try and oblige you. I'll try and pin him down. I didn't actually pin him down today. He came willingly. Thank God. The Holy Spirit is good. Yeah, so that we can do that video for you in the future. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already following me. It's the same, Locks and Chronicles. And yes, till I come your way next time, always remember that I really, really do love you. Bye.